Hi, my name is Matt, and in the last video I said I would be working on something simpler this time around, and I did work on something simpler. I worked on a Scrabble bot, but this video took 2 months because I was feeling very lazy over the course of the last 2 months. But anyways, Scrabble, that's a game like everyone in the world knows. Even if you don't think you know the game, look it up, you'll realize that you do. So I made a bot for that game, and even though the process of making the bot was not fun at all, and at some point I even thought of giving up, I hope this video explaining the process will be fun, because I know for sure that it will be more fun than the actual process was. Regardless, even when the projects are small and simple, I still put a lot of effort into these videos, and don't tell anyone else, but I actually made this video just for you. You're the only person in the world seeing this right now. And please don't tell anyone else, but since I put in so much effort just for you, please subscribe, you know? Like, that's the least you can do, or at least like the video. Anyways, now I'm gonna get into the rules of the game. And with every board game that exists out there, there are so many house rules that have been added to Scrabble that you may not know the official rules. So you should stick around in the next segment, even if you think you know the rules, and you may learn something new. I'll try to make the segment as quick as possible. So the game starts on a 15 by 15 board that looks like this. All characters are given 7 tiles, and whoever has a character that is the closest to A starts the game. If multiple people have a tile that is the closest to A, then all the tiles are basically reshuffled and new tiles are given to the people until someone has a tile that no one else has that is the closest to A. Now the general rule is when you're placing a new word on the board, at least one of its characters must interact with another character that has already been placed on the board. However, when you're starting the game, no characters have been placed on the board yet, so because of that, the first ever word that is placed simply needs to interact with the star square, which is in the middle of the board. The way that you gather score is that when you place a word, all tiles have values that are written on them, and based on that, you tally up all the characters in the word that you just placed, and you add that to your score. Some squares multiply the value of a tile by 2 or 3, and some squares even multiply the value of a word by 2 or 3. During your move, you can either place a word, or you can exchange tiles. You can pick any number of tiles, put them in the bag, and grab new random ones. Or you also have a third choice of passing, which means you do nothing during your move, and you pass your move to the next person. So since you start with 7 tiles, when you place a word, you must grab new tiles to replace the tiles that you have just placed on the board. The game ends when all tiles run out, or when there are very few tiles left and no more words can be made, which can be decided by the players. And some bonus rules are that if you use all 7 of your tiles in one turn, you get 50 plus points. Whoever has a higher score at the end wins. But something else that adds to your score at the end of the game is, if one player has no tiles left, add everyone's unused tiles scores to their points, and then subtract unused tile scores from all the players that still had tiles left at the end of the game. And that's it. Whoever has the highest score wins, and if there are multiple people with the highest score, then those people draw. And that's it. It's longer than I would have wanted it to be, but you know, I think I did it pretty quickly. And in the next segment, we are going to be talking about how I made the bot. When I started working on the bot, the first step of the bot was apparent from the very beginning, which was finding a list of all the words that were allowed in Scrabble, and it was a little harder than I anticipated. I went on some websites at first, but it was very obvious that the websites were intended for humans, and it was very hard to convert all that data into something that a bot could understand. So I kept searching, and eventually I found a text file. I found a text file filled with all the words, and there were over 200,000 words, and I knew that was it. I had found what I was looking for. And then I quickly wrote up a Python script to turn that text file into a JSON, which is easier to work with. And after that, I of course started working on the bot, and the first thing that I coded was of course the board and how tiles behave with it, and basically the commands that you can use. After coding all of that, I actually moved on to strategy, which is what the segment of the video is about. So what was the first strategy that I coded? The first strategy that I coded is if the bot's move was first, what it was going to do. And since we've already discussed that the only place where a word can go at the beginning of the game as your first move is in the center, either like this or like this, going from up to down or left to right. Since we knew generally where the first word needed to go, the bot would simply look through all the words that it could generate and in the positions that it could generate them, and whatever gave it the highest score is the one that it would pick. That was the first thing I did. And the second thing that I wanted to start working on was generally how the bot would be placing its words. Now, moves after the first move get tricky for the bot because at that point you can place your word next to or interacting with any word that is on the board. So bigger the board would get, the more complicated the calculations would get. To create the ideal bot, I had the idea of just doing the same thing as it was doing for the first move, but making it do it on every single part of the board that was imaginable and possible. And well, let me walk you through why that wouldn't have worked. So let's begin with the fact that the Scrabble dictionary has 200,000 words. Assuming the average word is 5 letters long, which is an assumption I pulled out right from my ass, assuming that, every single word can be placed on the board 176 times, both vertically and horizontally. Now, admittedly, my code isn't the best, it can definitely be shortened, but when you're checking for a single move, that takes about 50 lines. So now let's try to calculate how many lines of code it would take for the bot to calculate a single move. So that would be 50 times 352 times 200,000. That's 3,520,000,000,000 lines of code every single move. That would take probably hours. So of course I didn't go through with that, and that did make the bot obviously worse in quality and strategy, but you know, I just couldn't really think on my own how to shorten the code without losing the quality. And maybe if I gave the project a little more time and I thought about it a lot more, I would have been able to find something, but I didn't do that. So but regardless of that, the bot still turned out very good, and I don't think any of you guys can beat it unless you're like a Scrabble world champion, in which case I'm honored you're even watching my video. That's insane. Reach out to me, I would love to make a video with you with this bot. But yeah, like, it will be all of you. I'm just saying, every single one of you beating your ass. So even though it's not ideal and I cut down on a lot that I sort of regret, but not really, I'm very happy with it. It's very good, yeah. So instead of doing all that, what the bot does every single move, it's still pretty heavy, but it takes a few seconds at most. It goes through the entire board and checks every square on which a tile has been placed, every square that isn't empty. And then it calculates, based on that letter, what words it could build if it also had that one letter. And it gets all the words, it places all the words in every possible way that it can for that tile, and whatever has the highest score basically gets logged. It goes through the entire board, and eventually it figures out what would give it the highest score, and it plays that move. Now there's a lot of loss. There's some strategies that the bot literally can't use because of the way that it is coded. There are things like exchanging, which I explained in the previous part of the video, that the bot won't even do unless it literally can't do any words at all. And because of these things, the bot isn't ideal, but it's still very good, because as I explained how the bot works, it's literally has access to every single word, and it is able to place every single word. So now, since the bot exchanges its tiles if it can no longer play any words, if it finds out that you're actually in the end game where you can no longer exchange tiles because there aren't enough in the bag, if it finds that out, it will just end the game. And basically the way that ending the game works is both you and the bot need to type end. Basically, when you type end, you end all of your moves. You can no longer play. You just watch the bot play from then on. And if it also types end afterwards or before that, you both basically agree to end the game, in which case the game ends and the scores are displayed. And that's it. That's how the bot works. And in the next segment, we will see people playing with the bot, one of them being me, and another being my friend. And I will have a GitHub repository linked down below. You can copy paste that link into the browser of your choice, and you can download it if you want to, and you can also play with it. It will come with a manual because it is a little hard to understand how to play the game, but once you read the manual, you should understand it perfectly. And yeah, now let's move on to the next segment because I'm just yapping now. There is almost nothing to talk about. You would expect it to destroy us, but not to the astronomical level that it did. Now, in the previous video, I worked on an Uno bot where I was able to play it with my friends, and Scrabble is also kind of a group game. I mean, it is mostly a group game. This time, that wasn't a choice. You can only play it one-on-one. And we played the bot separately, and it destroyed both of us. Here is the score at the end of my game. I know. And here is the score at the end of my friend's game. Hundreds. It didn't just win. It won by hundreds of points. And that is why I believe that you guys can't beat it. If someone is able to beat it, I would like to see it. If someone can beat it without cheating, I would love to see that. Until then, yeah, this bot is insane. It's probably the strongest bot I've ever built for any game. And I'm very proud of my child. What can I say? But since there is legitimately such little things to say about this game, because there was never a point where I thought I was winning, or any point where he thought he was winning, my friend, let's just talk about something else. I have changed the repositories on my GitHub. My friend suggested that I turn them into Gits, and that makes perfect sense, so I turned them into Gits. They're still pretty easy to work with, even if you have no clue what Gits are. So I hope that doesn't bother too many people, and just like the repositories that I turn into Gits, the repository for this project will also include a Git rather than a zip file. So I hope you can figure that out if you want to play with it. I'm sure you can. You're very smart. And yeah, I mean, it's shameful. It's embarrassing. Let's just move to the conclusion. Nah, I'm sorry if you're disappointed with the last segment of this video. I just don't want to show executions on my channel because that would be brutal. But regardless, I would say I enjoyed working on this project, but I didn't really enjoy it because not only was it simple, it was also kind of annoying at times. Although I'm very proud of what I created, and I'm happy that I did it because, again, this is the most powerful bot I've ever made for a game, and I suggest everyone play it just so you can see that I don't suck at this game. This bot is just really, really good. Now, although I don't post a lot, I want to post one more time this year in December, so for people who are consuming my videos, you're gonna be eating good this year. And the next year, I will try to start posting at least once every month, because that was the original goal of this channel, which I have been miserably failing. Currently, I have a schedule that is like, I post, then I post 1 month after that, then 2 months after that, then 1 month after that, and it sort of alternates, if you guys have noticed. And yeah, I hope I can break that cycle next year, and I can start doing once every month. I didn't really mention in the last video, but I have noticed the uptick in my subscriber count, and I'm very happy about it, and I hope it can keep going, because last video didn't bring in any. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and catch me in the next video where I hunt down a local cryptid.